Hey, this is Marco Leroy. So excited to have my friend Lamar Womble to join me. How are you, Lamar?
Doing well, bro.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Lamar is a motivational speaker. He does a lot of stuff with the youth, university, and in the high school market. He's also a dream director. And then I has all been fascinated when I heard that title, dream director. I was like, cool, I kind of like that too. So tell us a little bit about, what do you mean to be a dream director?
Yeah. A lot of people, when I tell people originally, like, yes, I'm a dream director, the first thing they think is like, oh, they say you're a gym director? And I'm like, no, a dream director. Because it's such a new term, it's such a new phrase. So folks aren't used to hearing it. And so, they kind of identify with what they think they heard. And so that's always a funny story. But to me, dream directing is working with anybody, but for me, it's mainly high school youth. 9 through 12, and having conversation with them around their passions and their dreams and helping them build mindsets and skill sets in order to go and get those dreams and make them a reality.
So what are the steps, like what are the tools and techniques that you guys use to make that possible?
Yep. So it really starts, it's I'd say a two-pronged approach. It's a school-wide community approach, then it's an individual one-on-one coaching approach. So from a one-on-one standpoint, I meet with students at any point in time throughout the school day or week and have one-on-one coaching conversation with them around whatever their said passion is or said dream is. Or there may be a situation where kids have never had a conversation about what their passion or dreams are. And so really just introducing a conversation about like, hey, have you ever thought about traveling to another country? And they may have never had that thought before. Yeah, and so what I'm really discovering on the one-on-one side is that exposure is like the birthplace of possibility for students. I love that. It's like you expose them to things that they've never seen, and then they get curious, and then they start believing that other things are possible.
Yeah. So is there like any successful story for like a student that you can share with us, like, that you have coached and that have taken like a steps, toward that direction? Yeah.
I think, and this is, for me as a motivational speaker, like this is the stuff that's near and dear to my heart because it's allowing me to put the practice of dream directing, which is like the day-to-day motivation, inspiring of kids, into bring those stories into my speaking. And so one of the original students I started working with, her name is Giselle. She was, when I met her, a junior in high school, and she was already pretty strong academically. At the time, she was kind of moving towards wanting to be a nurse because that's kind of what she wanted to do and also what her mom wanted her to do. Probably mostly mom, yeah. And, but going and having those one-on-one conversations with students around like, what is it that you really want to do? And over and over and over, fashion and fashion design and fashion shows kept coming up. And it just kind of started to beg the question like, well, why is it that you want to do nursing or why you want to go into the sciences? And she didn't really have any good answers besides, well, I do pretty well in school and my mom wants me to do it. And so over the course of the next 2 years, she transitioned into focusing on fashion. She held 4 fashion shows. 3 of them were in our school. And then she had one off-site where I coached her through kind of that transition, coached her through having the conversation with her mom, coached her through having that final show. That's like the ideal, the way it should go all the time. But it doesn't always look like that for everybody. I'll give you another one. Kid named Marcos, great kid, really smart, but never took the initiative to fulfill his potential. And this kid like drained every ounce of motivation, inspiration out of me that I could. Everything, I tried everything. And we're at a point now where he actually still hasn't graduated high school, and he should have graduated 2 Junes ago, actually. And I ran into him this past weekend. But the one thing that he always did tell me is that he wanted to be a model. And so one of the students that I linked up with, Giselle, who has started her own clothing line, who was a former student of ours, started a modeling agency. So I haven't seen Marcos in maybe a year. I go to this fashion show 2 weeks ago, and he's modeling in this fashion show. And I had a moment with myself, like I started crying because, sometimes we use education as like the defining factor, as if someone's going to be successful or not. And although he has not figured out yet how he's going to persevere to graduate from high school, like I'm very confident that he will. But I know that he has his passion and he's living in a space where he's actually doing what he said he wants to do. And there's so much power in that.
How do you feel personally when you when you get those results, from those kids, how does it feel in you personally?
Yeah, it's when you're in the moment, like I'm never really thinking about, 5 years and like, oh, are they gonna be pursuing their passion? I'm more so thinking about it in terms of small wins. Every day is like small wins. For example, we have a big part of my job in developing the culture of the school is trying to make sure our school is student-led and student-executed, meaning students are coming up with the ideas, students are planning and executing anything and everything that they want to see happen in their school.
So you're a dream director, you're a motivational speaker. So can you tell me what's the correlation between those two?
Yeah.
How do they affect each other?
Yeah, I think they're it's one big circle for me. So dream directing is the practice and motivational speaking is my preach. And I think if you listen to Gary Vee, and I think you listen to a little bit of Gary Vee, right? He talks a lot about the practicality of the work. And so for me, I just believe there was a time where I wanted to be full-time motivational speaker. But as I got the job as a dream director, I slowly realized that this is my practice to the preach. And so the way it works now is that like I'm full-time dream directing, but my company wholeheartedly believes in the full person and developing the whole and they know that I'm a motivational speaker as well. I'm bringing to schools and to my keynotes actual strategies that either worked or didn't work in the school every single day, as opposed to other folks who may not have that experience. I just think I bring a different value because of that.
Yeah. So as you know, my new book is about leadership.
Yeah.
And then I know you have a passion for leadership.
Yeah.
So where did that passion come from?
Oftentimes I say this a lot where I think that in 20 years, I'll probably change the name of my company from Passion for Leadership to Passion for Life.
Passion for Life, okay.
At some point, because people think it's that anyway. When I say P4L, they're like, oh, is it Passion for Life? But, a lot of it for me, when I originally started my business around Passion for Leadership, I wanted the tagline is redefining student leadership. And what I meant by that is that you did not have to be the president, vice president, executive treasurer, or secretary, or hold any kind of office or position in order to be a leader. But you had to be the best or wanted to be the best at what you did. And people will follow you because of that. And so to me, leadership comes down to can you execute and how much do you care about the people that are following you? And if you can execute at a high level and people know that you care about their life and their well-being and their success and you show it, I think you can lead people anywhere.
That's awesome. So I came and speak at one of your classes. I think it was last year, I can't remember for sure.
Yep.
And I was amazed by one trick that you did to bring attention. You have a book box, you're playing music, and I see that but was drawing to you. What that strategy? I mean, can you expand on that?
Yeah, that's like dream director life. You know what I mean? So much of our job as dream directors is to go into a school and disrupt. And so just like Redbox disrupted the rental movie game, like the dream director is meant to go in and disrupt the traditional academia, traditional high school day-to-day operation to where we are doing things that get kids excited about being in school. And I know for myself, music was one of those things where like I hear music and I'm ready to dance.
Yeah, you're ready to move.
Yep, exactly. So I know that if I'm walking through the hallways in school and I've got music playing, there's always a chance that some kid that might be feeling down or may not be that motivated is gonna perk up, maybe dance with me a little bit, maybe high-five me a little bit, and that might change the way they walk into their next class. So for me, it was just like little subtle things like that I know bring value to the kids in the school, but also the staff and everyone else who comes in.
And so What are your tips do you have for, like, let's say a student or like a young professional, somebody who want to be like, a speaker like you or a dream director, but sometimes like, we have so much fear, and I tell people all the time, we all have a potential, but people like, afraid, they don't know how they can get, that greatness out. What are your tips, advice to those people?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I tell people when it comes to finding passion, especially the young people, if you're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, one, you just got to try everything. So you know what you love and what you don't love.
Exactly.
Right? And so the only way you can make a decision is if you have an experience. So you got to have as many of experiences as you can, then make a decision. Did I like this or did I not like this? And actually, when I talk in terms of passion, I talk about, did you love it or did you not love it, right? And if you loved it, how can you go do more of that? And if you hated it, don't do it ever again. And you can make that choice. So I think it starts with exposure and experiences. And then I think from there, if you know what you're passionate about, realizing that you don't have to wait. We are living in a world now where you and I and everybody else can make it happen, because as Gary Vee often talks about, the internet is literally changing the game. I'm making sure that I'm not just telling people what to do, but I'm telling kids how to do it, right? And so for me, like giving them resources and websites and apps that allow them to streamline their process to where they could come up with a whole business idea and a plan and have it ready to go in a matter of 24 hours if they wanted.
Yeah, cool. Now let's focus our conversation on Lamar Womble.
Right.
Cool. So, dream director, motivational speaker, what's the next big thing that you are working on, you're thinking about to disrupt again, or personally? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not, a couple things, but right now I'm really focused on trying to become the passion expert. I want people to know that not only do I care about the topic, but I've got expertise on the topic, and I've tried it, and I've got data, and I've got experiences, and I've got qualitative data as well, about how passion either works or it doesn't work, where it shows up, where it doesn't show up. So the grand scheme, that's kind of where I'm headed, and that is going to be continued through speaking. That's going to be continued through dream directing. I'm developing right now a passion workbook, which hopefully I'm debating if it's going to be free or not. But I really don't care about the money. But like, I want people to be able to freely, openly explore their passions in a way that leads them to take action towards getting closer to what it is that they want in their life. So that, and then I'm developing an app to go along with that workbook. So those are the two biggies for me this year that I would like to see completed by the end of 2017, to where people can have tools and they can go in and dive in, explore their passions and reflect on their life to this point and where they're going, and create action steps to get closer to what they love.
Cool, that's pretty amazing. So if you were to be like one animal right now, which animal would you be?
You know what? I feel like any animal that makes connections. So I would say, or nurtures. I feel like I'm in a nurturing mood, so maybe like a panda bear.
A panda bear?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you had a power to make one change in the world right now, what would that be?
That everybody could eat.
Everybody can eat?
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what would be your last advice to my viewer, Mr. Lamar Womble?
Last advice is always find ways to do what you love all the time, and don't believe the hype when people tell you that you can't do what you love to do all the time. Those are just people talking that have never had a chance to experience doing what they love all the time, and know that there's people that do what they love to do all the time, and that is possible and accessible for your life. Yeah, and keep experiencing things and making decisions on if you love them or not, and use passion as a guide to make life decisions from here on out.
Use passion as a guide. Mr. Lamar Womble, thank you so much for coming all the way from New York and visiting Omaha. Love it.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment below and subscribe to our show somewhere here so you don't miss any content.